Oh, why is it wearing clothes though? Don't know what this guy behind me is doing. I mean, there is a hot girl amongst them, but still. What is this girl? This girl's wearing like hot pants or something. What's going on? Oh no, they're like Ukrainian or something. That's the sound of the hot girl's voice. She was wearing just like... she's wearing a coat and a hoodie on top, but like virtually nothing underneath. Jesus Christ. Oh, well, that's very distracting. Anyway. There's a little robin bopping around out there. And another robin over that side. Oh. It's pre-spring now. It's daffodil time. The daffodils have come out. Yeah, so we'll do a catch-up vlog. I think a catch-up vlog might be needed. The problem is things in the world are getting so overwhelming. Like my personal life isn't moving at all because like there are so many obstacles in the world to me getting to where I need to be to like make use of the world, but the world itself, like looking out at the rich fucks out doing politics and the worldwide event nonsense and the stuff we're gonna look at in the news that they're trying to distract us with. A lot of stuff has happened, and I mean there's a lot of bad stuff, a lot of stuff that in a way is mostly meaningless because it's about governments, and it's hard to get on top of all that. Yeah, it's just very overwhelming. Like my life's not moving forward really because of what the government's doing and what all the people with the money are doing, and I'm trapped in this family situation, and every time I try and get out, like to hunt for a flat or to get money with a job, I just get obstacles in my way. And meanwhile there's all this nonsense going on with Trump and the far left and Ukraine war and theatrical war and all this shit. And a lot of it is happening, a lot of it is somehow meant to be newsworthy and we're meant to pay attention to it, but I think it's like a lot of just nonsense that is not worth paying attention to at all really. Here's the rock, and I bet this looks nice here down here in springtime when the first flowers or first leaves are appearing on these trees here. We're just tucked in here. I bet that bit looks nice. Had a fucking sleep, couldn't get myself sharp, had some food, suddenly felt sleepy, had to have a partial sleep, and then just did that for I don't know how many hours. It's now 5:09, so maybe 2 hours or something. And then went to Yelverton to the toilet. I went to get a spare drink in Yelverton. It's so clogged up in the supermarket, lots of fucking weirdos around, probably from Plymouth. And then back out to the aerodrome, and I found this place near the rock, and I'm sharper now, I'm more awake now. Maybe I can do something here. Hi fools. It's the 17th of Feb. Part of me trying to make these vlogs now is just trying to snap out of my work self, snap out of that, and reacclimatise myself to more of what my past self was, because you get further away from it when you work. Whenever you work, you know, you enter that fucking... I'm doing retail. You enter the shop and you hear the repeating like 20-song pop music cycle in the background. And you have to serve normies robotically, and you have to deal with normie staff who like constantly don't know what efficiency is, don't know that there's another way of doing things, don't know that there's another way of living, don't know that they can, if they want, say whatever they want and not comply to any of the rules and not comply to government bullshit that comes down from on high. We were getting somewhere. I was getting somewhere when I worked in the second of my family businesses, and after so many years, was it 19 years? You know, after 2020, I started like getting somewhere. with that place, and then they shut it down, so I couldn't continue that trend. So it was taken out, the rug was pulled out from under me, it was taken out from under my feet right at the point where I would go into work and I'd feel okay and I'd know what I was doing, and I'd know that there was some leeway also to do my own thing while I was earning money, and I had enough money to be searching for flats, and that money was rising. So in the future of that timeline, whatever you want to call it, that alternate dimension, if I'd have stayed there or been able to stay there without it being shut down, I would have been making more money. I would have tons more money now. I probably wouldn't have had the car, but I would have been more on track to get a flat and start my own business. And that option was denied to me by other people, and I am bitter about it. I mean, how could I not be? It's put me in a worse place in my life. It's just downgraded my scenario. It's downgraded my state of being to where I'm in a worse state of being, even though I do have this car here. It doesn't actually do anything other than allow me to take a few more trips more regularly and get me back and forth to work on all the random times of day that they expect me to get to work, that they didn't need me to. I could have easily gone on the bus service and done good shifts for them, but they want really specific shifts which they don't need because other workers are always covering those shifts anyway. So yeah, it's really bizarre what they've asked for and what they've forced me into in order to get a job there. And I think any job I'd ask for working for other people would have some bullshit rules that are inefficient and don't even need to exist. That's why I want to start my own business. Maybe I could get back to that point with the second health food shop where I worked for my family, where I had reached the point where I no longer had to worry about the shop itself and its daily running. I knew how to do it all. I could just get on with converting people to my cause and getting people in the mindset I was in, so I could talk to the good ones more often, more frequently, better, and kind of spread my, to my opinion, better way of being to others, and feel more at comfort and more confident with my position. Whereas, you know, I got to that stage and that was taken away. So fuck that shit. So many things have been taken away from me in this life. And life gets more and more chaotic, especially if you even slightly look at the news or look at what other people who watch the news constantly are trying to talk about. I don't need that shit. News is what these authorities spoon feed you through the media or the TV or anything. You know, they used to do it through TV and newspapers. Now they're doing it through social media, and people are like, oh, let's listen to the authorities, let's listen to what the politicians are doing, let's listen to people who trust the politicians, let's listen to all the power centres, because what they're doing is news, what they're doing is important to listen to and talk about. Like, no it isn't. We should be bringing these fucks down. Hence why I'm an anarchist, hence why there are only very small pockets of people who I identify with and believe in and want to hang out with in this world, and mostly I'm just very minority, very living in the cracks, surrounded by complete brain dead zombies, the normies and the far left, and even at this point a lot of the conservatives, although some of them here and there are quite nice. I guess I've got a friend who's a conservative, and I guess I watch people like EVS, who's a very funny, very sharp guy, but he's a Christian, like MAGA dude. I can ignore that part of his personality or that part of his philosophy and what he's putting out there, and I mean, he doesn't dwell on it too much, so I guess I like that. I can access the other parts of them that are not political. That's how you get on with people a lot in this life, is you just make friends with them to listen to their non-political side, unless you're the same politics as them. That's just how it goes. You want to broaden your friend circles or the people you're talking to, just start talking non-politically for a bit, and if you want to focus on fixing the shit that's going on in the world, but you're shrinking your friend circles, you gotta do it. You know, you gotta do the activism shit or whatever. Propagandize from your circles of people who believe what you do. In my case, the ANCAPs and the libertarians, the non-fucking party libertarians, the non-linos, the non-fakes. It takes more. How do I say it? It takes less now. It takes less time in work for myself to be dragged away from me. For who I am and what I'm doing to be dragged further away from the me of my past, which is the authentic, real, genuine me that I'm always trying to get back to. So I guess a part of that is reminding myself when I get off work that work is a thing I hate. Not doing work, just the job I'm at now. It's not a good place. The people I work with and the people I serve are not good people, except a couple of small examples. Yeah. I also get flashes of the killer thought coming in, like, you know, the thought about mortality, the remembrance of your own mortality, that you're gonna die sometime. You know, I had a bit of that try and creep in today. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. Like, I don't know. You kind of, sometimes you know you've been dealt a bad hand in life, and you kind of imagine life to be some entity, as if it's a god or something, and you curse life for dealing you a bad hand, and you kind of go, why exactly have you put me here? Like, what was the point? What's the point in me being here if you're just going to do this to me, sort of thing? And it just comes along with, you know, me seeing that I've got like a greying beard and I've got all the hallmarks of being an older guy, and I don't feel like an older guy. I don't feel like that ever happened to me. I still have not fulfilled the things, to my mind, that a 17-year-old is supposed to do. I do just constantly feel frozen at age 17. I'm like, I haven't done all the things a 17-year-old has done. So, like, I felt that when I actually was 17. Like, I got to that stage and I'm like that year ended, whenever that was. I can't remember what year that was. The year when I was 17 ended, and I was like, hold on, what? No, I'm not 18. I'm not about to be 18, because I haven't done all the things that a 17-year-old's supposed to do. And I just thought that from that point on, like, over and over again, like, as every year happened, I'm like, I haven't done those things I was meant to do when I was 17. I mean, here, the legal age or whatever for learning to drive and get in a car, that's 17. I felt like I should have done that back then. So that's been a constant thorn in my side, that I could go into detail with it. I mean, it's like, it's the things it's like stereotypical teenager kind of things in the world. You could say maybe that's some sort of propaganda or some false view of life that has been fed to me as a kid or something via the media and via films. Maybe it is, but maybe it isn't, because at the time I looked around me and all those things I wanted to do were happening to the people around me, like most of them. But they weren't happening to me yet. And I thought, okay, this should be something that I can do. Maybe I'll do it next year. And it never happened the next year. It never happened the year after or whatever. So things like getting a car and driving, things like having had a girlfriend and like had your first girlfriend by then, and, you know, even if you dumped them or they've dumped you, at least you've had that experience by then and you know what it is. And then there's like partying and stuff. You know, you're probably like, oh, partying, what's so important about that? But again, it's just something you would have done, and you would have had that experience. You would have got out of your system. You would have known what it is, known about it. I don't have any of that. You could say like experimenting with drugs or whatever, including alcohol. I didn't experiment with alcohol until like many years. Let's wait for this pedestrian. I didn't experiment with alcohol until many, many years later. And there's so many things that I should have done by age 17, and then I would have been happy at, say, age 20 or 23 in saying to myself that I was 20 or 23, if you know what I mean. But when I was 20 and 23, I was saying in my head that I was 17 still. Like I still hadn't done those things that you're meant to do, and I still haven't done most of them. I've done a couple of them. I've done the alcohol experimentation now. I've finally done the car thing. It took me to age fucking 39 to do it. Should have done that at 17. I mean, I guess, is that some hope in some way that you can still do those things that you meant to have done at 17, even if you're about to be 40? It's still not right. It's not right because I'm meant to be doing, there's like a set of things that me in my head I'm meant to be doing at age 39 and 40. Like, I'm not meant to be at this age trying to achieve the things I'm meant to be going through at age 17, because then, like, okay, let's say at age 40 in this coming year I achieve all the things that I needed to get done in age 17. That's great. Now I've got to achieve all the things that I should have been doing at ages 18 and 19 that I think fit in that bracket. And you think this is all, you're thinking, aren't you, that this is very rigid and stubborn, that I've got some system in my head where certain things must be achieved in certain years and all that. But that's me. To me that is important. To me that is something that would create happiness, create fulfillment, and just make me feel like a person if I could complete things where they're meant to be completed. I think it all kind of stems from us being fed a lie. We are all kind of propagandized by media and films about what life is. Can you imagine? I don't know if we could properly imagine a world in which, let's pick like films and TV programs. What if we lived in a world where films and TV programs accurately portrayed to the audience what life was like on Earth? Can you imagine what those programs would be? There'd be so much death in them, so much depression, so much people stumbling over their own feet, trying to figure out what the fuck each other's words mean when they speak to each other. Just moments of stress, moments of petty, like, ideological war games, people trying to fuck each other over, people convincing themselves that they're the best person in the room, just repetitive, ongoing instances of hypocrisy where a bunch of people will accuse another bunch of people of doing a thing, and they'd spend ages going hard at it, doing that, and at the same time they'd be doing those things that they're accusing the other person of doing, and that would just be constant to the point where they just would not be able to break out of a cycle. You know, I don't think films and TV even show this shit, the realities of the earth we live in, and the nightmarish kind of mundane grey horror of all this. Cruelty to animals, death, our complete disconnection from war, our like self-dramatization of war, and then war is nothing like we're actually saying to ourselves it is. The amount of diseases and bodily breakdowns and things there are in the world. How not being an efficient kind of person can lead to you just getting tons of random injuries. I don't know, man. Like, it would be, I mean, it'd be very depressing, but it would be real. Some people say, oh, you're being negative, and those negative people go, no, I'm not being negative, I'm being realistic. Because negativity and realism in this world are one and the same. Positivity goes with fantasy, I think. Optimism goes with believing in the hope of a fake thing that is not actually something that is possible. in the way that we think it is in this world, in this life, on Earth, probably regardless of century or whatever. So much for me to get my head around and explain, and I got to get out. I got to get my headspace into where I am, who I am, and who I was in the past. Because it's so difficult, especially trapped in the scenario I'm trapped in. Like, I could be so much more than I am if I wasn't in this domestic abuse environment. There were people in my life who could have helped me get to a better position where I would be now. And I know you're not going to rely on other people to do things, but they were in that position where they were like totally in a position to just help me out at that moment, and they chose to go the other way. Like I couldn't trust them in the end, like I thought I could. And yeah, I know that's like using someone as a crutch and everything, but I wasn't taught like the ANCAP sensibilities through most of my life, the self-reliance aspect. If I'd have been taught them earlier in my life, I would have been working towards those goals through most of my early life, and I would be in a whole different place than I am now. But unfortunately, I was a normie tending towards leftist bullshit through a lot of my early life, and I didn't know about this way that I currently think in, this philosophy. I didn't know about this way back then, so I couldn't achieve my goals in the same way as I would have if I'd have known. Like if I was ANCAP all along, I would be probably living in some big house right now with a lot of things completed and out of the way. Again, we're dealt a bad hand. It's like you find out what the world is like late in life, I think, or you don't find out at all. A lot of normies, they don't find out at all. They just live in this ignorance is bliss. Was it Cypher from The Matrix? I've been rewatching some of the Matrix films recently. Yeah, Cypher, ignorance is bliss. He wants to live in a world where he doesn't know the truth, sort of thing. Like where he never found out the truth. He wants to re-normify after becoming a pol. He gets political, takes the red pill, finds out like the veil has been pulled from his eyes, finds out that there's a Matrix in a real world, and he spends a bit of time there and he realises he doesn't like it and he'd rather go back to the fantasy of not knowing. Renormification, the dream of renormification. It can't be done, I don't think. How can you go back? I thought renormification was possible, but you can't really go back. Once you know, you know. God, it's starting to get dark and dim here. I'll be surprised if you can see me in a bit. Yeah. And the battery's running low. Alright folks. That's been a weird catch-up vlog.
Thank you for watching.